Hello PSI Gamer fans, and welcome back to Rimworld. We are continuing from where we left off last time in the evening with Tyson producing a component at the fabrication bench. And since we need a new research project, we are going to start research on biofuel refining. The following morning we can also see Tyson finish work on his first component. And we will be immediately using some of our components to construct more heaters, as our current heaters are not enough to heat our hydroponics room to a temperature at which plants can grow. And we will also be constructing 3 heaters in the workshop so that we won't receive any work speed penalties for bad temperature. And after completing construction on the heaters, Shepard then goes back to the research lab and finishes researching biofuel refining. And the next research project we'll be working on will be transport pods, because at some point I'd like to send out some people to take out the weather controller from last episode. And in the evening we receive a psychic soothe for all females, and Shepard finishes constructing the biofuel refinery. The next day we will be using the biofuel refinery to make some chem fuel. Lek will be the person who will be doing this job, as she doesn't have much else to do at the moment, and because you need some kind of organic material to make chem fuel, we will be using human meat, as we have quite the abundance of it. And while Lek is working on making some chem fuel, Shepard finishes researching transport pods. We will eventually be building 3 transport pod launchers to send 3 people to go take out the weather controller. However, we do not have any components and we have very little steel, and so it takes us about a day or so to gather all the resources necessary to construct them. And now the pod launchers have all been built, and they've been fueled with chem fuel that we have produced. However, we need to build transport pods on the pod launchers before we can go anywhere. Later that day there is a transport pod crash to the north, and we will be rescuing them as we could use some more goodwill with the Civil Outlander Union. The next day, 2 of the 3 transport pods are constructed, and we are just about ready to get going. However, I would like to get some warmer clothing first, as extending extended amounts of time outside in this weather could lead to hypothermia. So Tyson is going to go to the tailor bench and make a new parka out of thrumbo fur. And while he is doing this, we also receive a quest called Camp Assault, where we would have to send 4 of our people via a shuttle to take out a pirate camp that is guarded by 5 pirates. As a reward, we can get a Psychic Soothe Pulsar. The Psychic Soothe Pulsar can save you if all of your colonists are in a really bad mood, and I think we can handle 5 pirates, so after Tyson finishes making the parka, we'll call in the shuttle to take us to the camp. And now that Shepard has a fancy new parka, Tyson will receive his old Mega Sloth wool parka. And now people will put on some flak vests and we will call in the shuttle. Everyone gets in, and after a brief shuttle ride, everyone gets out at the bandit camp. And since everyone at this camp is just a melee fighter, I think it would be safe just to position everyone and start shooting. And so I make sure to position everybody outside of the range of the pirates' turret, and then they all open fire on the pirates. The pirates are quickly routed, and the only thing that we have left to deal with is their turret, which Tyson gets hit by while he's trying to strip one of the downed pirates. Shepard and Lek use their guns to take out the battery that is powering the turret, and the Empire sends us our Psychic Soothe Pulsar that we were promised. And before we leave this area, I'm going to have Miktod and Lek cut down a couple of trees, as it gives us wood, and it's very hard to get wood otherwise when you're living on the ice sheet. And we then load up all of the loot we acquired, as well as our 4 colonists, and everyone flies home on the shuttle. And the following evening, you can see that Shepard is constructing the final transport pod using a component that we got from the pirate base. This means that we will now be ready to send off a group of fighters whenever we want to take out the weather controller. And in the nighttime, we receive a bulk goods trader from the Civil Outlander Union. And after talking to them, Lek finds out that they don't have very many interesting trade goods. However, they do have some huskies, and so Lek will purchase one of them. And because Lek has the highest animal skill in our colony, she will be the one who will train the husky. And now that Tyson is fully recovered from his injuries, we can start loading our transport pods. Shepard, Tyson, and Miktod will all get into one of the pods, and with them they will take a little bit over 3 days of food, as well as some medicine in case anyone gets hurt. They all get into the pods and then launch them, leaving Lek alone to take care of the base. And after a short flight, they drop in at the edge of the map outside of the weather controller. Many of these pirates are equipped with guns, so we will have to approach this fight rather carefully. I position all 3 of my colonists behind some rocks outside of the bandit camp, and they start shooting as soon as they see a pirate come outside. The resulting fight is finished rather quickly, with only McTodd receiving some minimal injuries, and we have now taken over the bandit camp. And in one of their rooms is the weather controller, so McTodd, Tyson, and Shepard will work together to destroy it. Shepard will then deconstruct the solar panel outside of the camp for some extra resources, and then the 3 of them will pack up their things and get out of there. And while Tyson, Shepard, and McTodd are still walking home, there is a raid back at the home base, with only Lek there to defend it. Luckily, however, the raid is rather small, and they will be preparing a while before they begin their attack. And we can see that before the raiders even begin their assault, Shepard, Tyson, and McTodd all make their way back onto our map. And because of the spike traps, we don't even have to do anything to scare off the raiders. And in the evening, we find out that we only have 1 day left to do Shepard's yeoman ceremony. And in order to do this, we will have to remove the mechanoids from our map, and so everyone will put on their flak vests again, including a good quality flak vest that Shepard picked off from the pirate camp earlier. In addition to this, Shepard will also be wearing a smoke pop belt that we got a long time ago and have not had any use for so far. Lek will equip the frag grenades, and Tyson and Shepard will work together to construct some steel spike traps over by the mechanoid cluster. And then to wake the mechanoids up, Shepard will pop some smoke around him so that the turrets can't see him, and then he will start shooting at them. And unfortunately, while fighting the Scyther, I forget to tell Lek not to throw any grenades, and McTodd gets caught in the explosion, taking heavy damage all around her body and losing her right second toe in the process. We can also see that the traps we set were completely useless, as I put them 1 tile over from where the mechanoids actually were going to walk. The Lancer is taken down, however McTodd is now bleeding heavily and she only has 4 hours until she dies. Unfortunately, it's not safe to carry her back to the base, as the turrets from the mechanoid cluster are still present, so we will instead be putting down a sleeping spot right next to this hill, and we will give her some medical attention right out on the battlefield. Meanwhile, Lek will put on Shepard's smoke pop pack and head around the south of the hill with her grenades. Once she's in view of the turrets, she will pop some smoke and start throwing grenades to take them out from the safety of her smoke cloud. And now that the mechanoid cluster has been defeated, we can safely carry McTodd back to the base to receive the remainder of her medical attention at home. And we will use the Glitterworld medicine for this tending, as I would like McTodd to recover as quickly as possible. And now that the mechanoids have been taken care of, we can accept the quest to give Shepard his yeoman title. The bestowers show up, and they grant Shepard the title of yeoman. And with this title, he is also granted 1 psychic ability, and the ability he gets is Solar Pinhole. Solar Pinhole allows you to create lights at will as long as you've meditated to build up enough psi focus beforehand. This Psycast can be useful in some situations, however I don't think we're going to be using it anytime soon. However, if he does need to do any psychic meditation, his meditation spot will be in his red room right next to his art. And now it's time to start a new research project, so we will be researching shields, as a shield belt can block explosions and may prevent what happened earlier with McTodd on the grenades from happening again. The next morning, McTodd can walk again, and we also receive a quest called the Loyal Animals. If we fight 4 manhunting wargs, we can get a Psylink neuroformer, which can give someone another psychic power. However, before we can accept this quest, we have a different kind of threat to deal with. Vibrations from our deep drills have provoked some underground insects, and they are tunneling upwards for revenge. I draft up my 3 uninjured colonists, and I prepare for the oncoming fight. And the fight is over as quickly as it started, and the only injury received was a small bite wound on Shepard's leg from one of the Mega Scarabs. And now that we've gotten that encounter out of the way, we will be accepting the Loyal Animals quest. We also get a warrior to help us with this fight, however I think our spike traps should be able to handle the wargs without even any fighting necessary. And in the evening, while we're setting up the last spike trap, the wargs show up. And as I suspected, the traps took out all of the wargs, and we receive our Psylink neuroformer, which will go to Shepard, and that will allow him to receive a second psychic power. Shepard gains the power of Blinding Pulse, which will allow him to make people's vision be impaired in a certain area. However, to use this ability, we will have to have meditated beforehand, and so I will designate Shepard to do a small amount of meditation during the day, so that Shepard can blind people if he ever gets into a dangerous gunfight. And the following morning, Shepard will work on setting up the turret that we stole from the bandit camp earlier. This turret has been sitting in our kill box for a while, however it needs to be surrounded with sandbags before it is fully set up, so that is what Shepard will spend some time doing. And right after we set up the turret, we are now receiving a raid from the killer convicts. However, the turrets may not be very useful for us during this raid, as these pirates would like to sap around our defenses. One of the groups of pirates walks into my spiked corridor and quickly falls to my spike traps. However, the group of pirates coming from the other side of the map has other ideas. They have decided to throw grenades at my wall in order to get in and avoid my kill box, and so we will have to fight them inside the stockpile room. Shepard, Lek, and Tyson manage to gun down all of the pirates that try to enter our stockpile room, and all the pirates who don't go into our stockpile room walk over our spike traps and die. And we can also see that there are some rare thrumbos that have wandered onto the map, which I was planning on ignoring. However, one of the thrumbos, which walked through my spike hallway, stepped on one of the traps and is now bleeding. And eventually the thrumbo will come close to bleeding out, and we can hunt it without it fighting back. However, before we can do this, in the middle of the night, a meteor crushes our power line connecting us to our geothermal generator, and so we will have to get up and go fix it, or our power will be cut. And now we can see that the following afternoon, the thrumbo is suffering from severe blood loss, and so all 3 colonists who are using guns will line up and start shooting at it. The thrumbo tries to fight back, but it is no match for our guns. And right after that encounter with the thrumbo, the other thrumbo decides to self-tame. And as much as I appreciate having a pet thrumbo, as they are the strongest animals in the game, I will not be keeping it, as we do not have anyone who can train it, so it will eventually leave us, and I think that it would eat too much of our food to justify keeping it around. So unfortunately, it will be turned into meat just like its friend. In the evening, Tyson works on shredding some mechanoids from earlier, and then he goes to work on making a pair of pants for McTodd. as her current pants have become tattered and a new pair of human leather pants would be good to improve her mood. And we can also see that after McTodd puts on her new pants, she finishes recovering from all of her injuries. And aside from her missing toe, which gives her a 4% movement penalty, she hasn't received any other permanent injuries. We can also see the following morning that Lek has finished training the husky to guard, and she has started training it to haul things for us. And in the middle of the day, Shepard finishes researching shields, and so Tyson will get to work on his next crafting project, which will be a shield belt for McTodd. However, before we can construct the shield belt, Shepard will have to go get us some more steel, as it requires 50 steel, and we don't have any. And in the evening, we are contacted by a combat supplier on the comms console, and so Lek will call them to make a trade deal. The first thing we will do is we will sell them some yayo and flake that the raiders brought us for a small profit, as well as some old melee weapons. And we have a pretty large amount of money, which gives us enough funds to buy one fancy weapon. And though I was tempted to buy the rocket launcher, I ultimately settled on a more practical weapon and bought the charge rifle. The charge rifle is one of the best guns in the game, so I think it would only be fitting to give it to Shepard. And now that Shepard has a weapon of such great power, he can give his old gun, the excellent heavy SMG, to Tyson, and Tyson can give his normal SMG to Lek. And afterwards, Lek will move the orbital trade beacon into our armory, and she can sell off some random guns as well as our old Pila for 95 silver. And now that it's time to pick another research project, we will be researching colored lights. They don't have any practical use, I just want to make my base look nicer. The next day, there is a flash storm hitting the north of our base, however it doesn't hit anything flammable, so we don't have to worry about it. We can also see that Tyson has finished rebuilding all of our steel spike traps. And after Shepard drills for some more steel, we now have enough resources for Tyson to make a shield belt. Tyson stays up most of the night working on the shield belt, and when he finishes, it ends up being good quality. McTodd will put it on, and now she's pretty much immune to getting shot. The only downside to the shield belt is that you can't fire a gun while wearing it. However, this doesn't matter for McTodd, as she doesn't use guns. And in the afternoon, Shepard finishes researching colored lights, and we will now be researching advanced fabrication so that we can make our own advanced components. And to me, that seems like a good place to leave things off for this episode. As always, I would like to thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, I am going to encourage you to leave a like. And if you want to see other videos like this one, you should subscribe to my channel, as I post videos once a week. And with that out of the way, I am now ending this video here. I will see you all next time. Goodbye.